Hundreds of millions of students worldwide experience poverty every day. Some at more extreme levels, but all experience it in a way. This documentary will be focusing on the educational system and how poverty affects it. This will be achieved through the answers of 2 interviewed subjects. Subject 1 primarily focused on students, while Subject 2 was primarily asked about teachers. Here is the interview with Subject 1. This is interview 1. Interviewer, interviewee, what do you think about the current minimum wage in the United States?
Right now it is too low. Anyone that makes less than $8 an hour is going to have 2 full-time jobs or several roommates in order to be able to afford housing.
Okay. Do you think the current efforts to support children in impoverished situations are adequate?
No. Just in the Metro Nashville area alone, there are many, many children that are homeless. So while we're trying to help them with their food situation, housing, a lot of them are sleeping in cars, in families' basements, wherever they can. There's not a lot of help there.
Do you think there's any specific steps that can be taken to fix this?
It's a community project. It's not something that the government's going to be able to take on. So I'm not really sure what the next steps would be, but the school does ask if the children are homeless or lives with relatives. And for the homeless situations, there should be referral sources and places they could send them to start looking for help.
Okay. Do you think we're on track to creating equal work anytime soon?
Equal as in
like
male-female or?
Like no one has to live through extreme impoverished situation.
No. I think it's situations getting much worse rather than getting better.
You are aware that this is a goal that's set to be done in 2030.
Well, if you look at the situation, the people that are really, really rich are getting richer and richer, but the people that are in the middle class is shrinking down to the lower middle class and into the lower income because things are becoming more expensive. So equality might be for the lower end, but for the upper end, they're miles above everyone else.
Okay. Do you think the unequal standing in the economic world has an impact on students?
Absolutely. There's less opportunities. There's less food at home, less consistent schedule, less parents in the home because they're having to work more jobs, and so therefore they don't get the same type of quality time to work on the things they need to work on and feel safe.
What do you think are the next steps towards helping students become more equal even through their impoverished?
Well, I think schools like STEM, like where you go to school, are great because, it's diverse across a lot of different backgrounds. They have the same opportunities for education. There's some programs that are in place so that they can actually get tutoring and get help outside of their regular days. But I do think, it's community centers, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, things that they can get involved in that are going to give them some of that support that kids would standardly get at home. Okay. As you can see, economic standing can inhibit the ability for students to get the proper education they need. This creates a less educated society in which the cycle of poverty can survive. Now to Subject 2's interview. Yes. How is the education experience affected by students' economic standing? I know I said that slightly differently, but it's the same question.
Okay. I think that lower socioeconomic standing individuals tend to be brought up in a situation where they desire to learn more. They desire to better themselves. At least that has always been my experience. But for the most part, they tend to do better later on.
Anything else? Okay. How does the economic standing of teachers, which we know that they're not very well paid at the moment, affect their ability to teach students?
I think it's very hard for teachers because they tend to spend so much to educate themselves. They tend to spend so much in their own classrooms, and they sacrifice a lot for what it is that they do. And I think they should be paid the same as any other professional with an education under their belt. They should be held to those standards, and they should be paid accordingly. I think they should be paid as much as doctors and lawyers and those sorts of things.
Okay. So, similar question to before. Do you think economic equality has a major, like, people being able to be on equal standing, more people in the middle class instead of impoverished situations, would have a major impact on education? People being economically equal, would that have a major impact on their education?
Yes, I think personally, I think that children in a public education environment, their economic background should not be taken into consideration. They should just be, everybody should be taught the same as much as possible and whatever was within their capabilities to learn. And I think that it's not really happening.
Um, do you think having economic equality with, like you said, like doctors and things like that would help teachers be able to better the education for students?
Um, I believe so. I believe paying teachers what they're actually worth would help the students. Yes.
Okay. Um, just as a last general question, what do you think any possible next steps are to bettering economic equality in the school systems?
Not cutting their funding. More
That's probably a
funding.
good idea.
More funding going into the system.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
This shows that the economic standing of both students and teachers can widely affect the education process. Teachers' inadequate pay can lead to difficulties in the education process and making the career a viable choice. Also, students' inadequate monetary sources can lead to them getting a worse education and not seeking a higher education through college. The poverty experienced by students can provide an example of how unequal societal standing can affect a person for the rest of their life.